You ever hear a story that sticks to your bones? The kind that makes you wonder if anybody's really listening when a child tries to speak up? Yeah, this is one of those stories, and it starts with a 7-year-old girl, a single phone call, in a town that thought nothing bad could ever really happen there, Westfield, Illinois, the kind of place where folks wave from their porches and you still find lemonade stands on corners in summer, until the day everything changed and the whole illusion shattered in the most brutal way. It was October 15th, Shoal V. Bin, just another peaceful afternoon. Officer Matthew Ockenor, still not quite used to the slower pace after leaving Chicago for his daughter's sake, was at his desk, sipping coffee, probably thinking about nothing more stressful than traffic stops and lost dogs. Then the 911 line rang, and he answered out of habit, expecting the usual small-town nonsense. But the voice on the other end was anything but routine. You know when something just makes your blood run cold? This was Ida, a little girl, trembling, barely able to get the words out, whispering, "The bus driver, he's doing things to me again. I'm scared. Please help." Right then, all of Matthew's instincts lit up. He asked for her name, her location, tried to keep her talking, the way you do with scared kids, with a softness that comes from being a dad yourself. "My name is Emma. I jumped out the emergency window. I had to get away. I'm hiding behind a fence on Maple Street. 7 years old. Alone. Terrified. Telling the kind of truth adults always want to believe doesn't happen here. And she'd only called because her grandma told her, if it ever felt wrong, tell someone even if they didn't believe you the first time. That kind of courage, man, that's rare." Matthew was out the door before she even finished. As he drove, he kept her on the line, but Emma's fear was so thick you could hear it in her voice. He said nobody would believe me. He said grown-ups never listen to kids like me. Matthew could see the bus as he pulled onto Maple Street, a yellow bus, number 47, parked at the corner. Nearby, a middle-aged man, Mr. Harold, was chatting with a woman from a school. Totally normal. Too normal. But behind the white picket fence, Matthew spotted a sliver of green, the dress Emma had described. There she was, crouched small, clutching a battered teddy bear, eyes wide, cheeks streaked with tears and dust. "Emma," he whispered, crouching to her level. "I'm Officer Matthew. You called me. You did the right thing." She looked up, hopeful but haunted. "You really came," she breathed, like even now she couldn't believe it. Grown-ups don't always come when kids ask for help. Man, that hit hard. Matthew asked her what happened, and the story came tumbling out in stops and starts, in the way only traumatized kids can tell it. Mr. Harold had been making Emma sit in the front, telling her she was his special helper. Normal enough, if you're just listening. But then, when most kids were gone, the talk would change. Compliments that didn't sound like compliments. Special secrets. She tried to tell adults before. Every time they brushed it off. Said she was imaginative, sensitive, making things up. Only Grandma believed her baked cookies, listened, told her to trust that gut feeling inside. Today, Harold had tried to get her alone at the back of the bus, and Emma's instinct screamed. So she jumped. Matthew wanted to scream, too. Instead, he reassured Emma. Right then, Mr. Harold strolled over, smiling, friendly as ever. "You know how children can be, officer. Always making up stories, seeing monsters where there aren't any." For a second, Matthew almost believed him. This guy was practiced. Smooth. But he'd seen real pain in Emma's eyes, and nothing Harold said could shake that. He asked to meet with Emma, her grandma, and the principal. Harold hesitated, just a blink, but the mask snapped back on. "Of course, officer. It's all just a big misunderstanding." Twist is, as they were talking, Emma peeked out and whispered, "He's not like this when nobody's watching." That's when the pattern became clear. Emma wasn't alone. Her friend Tommy Chun had changed. Too stopped sleeping, started acting afraid. His grandma, Mrs. Chun, had been worried but shut down by the school. Turns out quiet kids, raised by grandparents, were always on Harold's route. Always the special helpers. And every complaint, every warning, had been lost, dismissed, or handled quietly. You see where this is going, right? The system wasn't broken, it was rigged. At the house that night, that poured coffee, told Matthew the same story Mrs. Chin would later share calls to the school that went nowhere. Counselors saying kids go through phases. Principal's office putting proper channels between families and the truth. Emma, wise beyond her years, had left a note for her grandma before she ran. Dear Grandma, I had to call the police about Mr. Harold like we talked about. I'm safe. I love you. That's what broke Matthew. Seeing a child take more responsibility than half the adults paid to protect her. It kept getting deeper. The school cameras broken. The files on Harold misplaced. At every turn, roadblocks. But the real twist came when Matthew talked to Susan Walsh, the retired school psychologist. I filed reports 15 years ago, she told him, and they disappeared. I was warned unfounded accusations could end your career. Susan's regret ran deep, but her expertise in interviewing kids became a secret weapon. A protection network sprang up, just neighbors and grandmas and teachers, sharing stories, piecing the pattern together. But the system fought back hard. The school board pressured the police chief, threatened Matthew with transfer back to Chicago if he didn't drop it. Even with damning evidence, a box of gifts from the kids found under Harold's bus seat, the powers that be called it a witch hunt. But Matthew couldn't stop, not after what Emma and the other kids had done. He started documenting everything, going outside official channels, reaching out to a local investigative reporter. If the system wouldn't listen, maybe the public would. Then Harold tried to run, seeking a job 3 counties over. That was the final straw. Maria Santos, Channel 7 News, picked up the story. Her coverage aired across 3 states. Emma, on camera, telling kids, if you're scared, if a grown-up says it's a secret, keep telling until someone listens. Suddenly, the phone lines lit up. Families across Illinois, Missouri, Indiana shared their own dismissed complaints, their own overactive imaginations. The state ordered an emergency investigation. The school board called a public hearing. The hearing, man, you've never seen a community transform so fast. Susan Walsh read her lost report into the record. Dut Miller stood up and told the world how she'd been ignored, how her granddaughter's courage changed everything. Then, with the whole town watching, Emma herself stepped up to the mic, tiny, fierce, voice trembling but strong. If something feels wrong, keep telling grown-ups until someone listens. Your voice matters. You deserve to be safe and happy. The room went silent. Then the standing ovation lasted 5 whole minutes. 6 months later, everything was different. Matthew was now heading a regional child protection task force. The Emma protocol became law-working cameras, independent investigators, rapid response to any child's concern. Emma organized a courage club at her school, kids teaching kids how to trust their instincts, speak up, and never feel ashamed for being scared. Grandma Dot, now the school board chairwoman, helped other families navigate a system that finally cared. Even Susan Walsh came out of retirement, training teachers how to listen with their hearts, not just their ears. As for Harold, he pled out, got professional counseling, but his case opened investigations across every school he'd ever worked at. The trinkets he kept, bracelets, hair ribbons, photos became powerful evidence, finally validating every child who'd ever doubted their memories. The most incredible part? The ripple effect. Emma's story inspired other kids, even outside Westfield, to speak up. Matthew's own daughter in Chicago helped a friend share her secret. Kids everywhere realized, maybe for the first time, that their voices matter just as much as the grown-ups. You know what I mean? Sometimes it takes just one small, trembling voice to remind the world how to listen, how to protect, how to believe again. And as Emma placed her hand on that, "Your voice matters here," sticker before boarding the busted bear in tow, head high, sunlight catching in her hair, it was clear the smallest voices sometimes carry the loudest truth. So now, let me ask you, have you ever been dismissed, told your truth didn't matter, or watched someone you love get ignored by the very people supposed to protect them? Drop a comment below. What do you think? Did Westfield find real justice, or is this kind of change always just a work in progress? Who's responsible when a community forgets how to listen to its kids? Let's talk about it, because the only way forward is to keep those conversations alive.
Xin chào các bạn, mình là Trinh, mình phụ trách viết content. Trên đây là những công việc của mình là mình lên mạng xã hội.
It is cold, yeah. Next one? Alright. Thank you, man. Hey, if you guys have any trouble, let somebody know. Please.
After the tree to hold on to.
Yeah, they're... Use the fence.